Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Thanks, guys. How's it going? That actually welcome was better than the welcome Derek said right before I got in here. Hey, don't Michael Bay this one. It's like a weird. No slides yet. So maybe a quick poll. I think Dave's setup is actually a good setup for what I'll talk about because Atlassian is an international company started in Australia. Even though Dave didn't talk a lot about growth hacking, I'm going to talk about hacking the business model. Quick question, who here is interested in enterprise software? Who's building enterprise software? How hot is enterprise software right now? Right, all right. So does the confidence monitor work down here? No good. Just means you'll stare at my back a little bit. Don't worry. So title of the talk is building a new model. And I am going to come back to the toilet in a minute. I'll just give kind of quick intro. I'm Jay. Follow me if you like. Atlassian, as Carl mentioned, makes collaboration software. Some products hopefully a lot of you use. Who uses Atlassian products in the crowd? Yeah, thank you guys. So Confluence, a bunch of collaboration products to support content, projects, code, and of course chat. Outside, HipChat, we're working on video and audio, and I've had an on-again, off-again love affair with both Google Hangouts and Skype. I have a pure love affair with HipChat video. So a quick plug, if you want to see it, go ask them. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to see it. So the macro theme driving our growth is that software is eating the world. Every company on the planet is, we believe, a software company in disguise. And if they're building something else, they're also thinking about how software is going to change that something else. Building software is hard. You guys know it. You're involved in it. When it works, you've got these wonderful moments like when the Curiosity rover landed on the planet's surface of Mars. So that's mission control at NASA, absolutely putting on a fireworks display because that was a great moment in history. When it doesn't work, sometimes you have equally fantastic moments. This is the San Diego fireworks display a couple of years ago where a 1-hour fireworks show went off in 13 seconds because there was a bug in the program that actually runs big fireworks displays. In many ways, more awesome than watching a fireworks display over an hour. So that's what we do. We help teams inside of more than 34,000 companies in 140 countries build software better because it is the most intense collaborative endeavor in any company, we believe. So that's what we do. So back to toilets, because there's a lot of technology in toilets these days. Who here has used a Japanese toilet? Who here likes using Japanese toilets? Yeah, exactly. If you haven't used one, drive over to the Google campus in Mountain View, sneak into the building and use one of their high fandangled Japanese toilets. I've had a long love affair with Japanese toilets. I'm sure you guys are trolling through all the Sigmund Freud that you've read to figure out how to catalog whatever that means about me and my sordid history. But it's not actually just that it's a more hygienic toilet. I'm a gadget guy. So Japanese toilets have lots of buttons, lots of different things you can do with them. And true story, I was in Japan just 2 weeks ago, staying at the Intercontinental in Tokyo, and all Japanese hotel rooms have toilets. So this was the toilet in my hotel room. I mean, you kind of work left to right. There is an incredible display of options here. You can adjust where the nozzle goes. You can change temperature control. You can adjust intensity. You could spend hours in the bathroom playing around with different things. But there was a couple of WTF moments for me when I really studied this. The first is, why do they want kids to wash their faces in the Japanese toilet? That's one WTF moment. The other one, which is probably the one that you zoomed in on, was there's a button here that just has the word impulsive. And I was like, oh my God. What does that mean, right? And do I push that or not? The other thing I thought is like, I have got to share this with all the Atlassians who don't get to travel to Japan. And so I took a picture of it, which is the first lesson for my talk, that always make sure that you crop. Because think what you will, but I put my forearm over the toilet and took a picture and did upload this on our company's wiki before I realized that I needed to actually crop my forearm out of the picture. But back to this button. It took me 2 days, and I finally pushed it. And this is a long segue into the point of the talk, which is that your business model matters as much as your product. So don't be impulsive with your business model. We had an opportunity to be impulsive. We're a 10-year-old business. Started in Australia. Our founders are 2 engineers, still both CEOs of the company. And when Atlassian started, we had an opportunity. I mean, when you start a business in Australia, you realize that most of the market is not there. Australia has the population, I think, of greater metropolitan Los Angeles. So when they first built Jira, which was our first product, they thought, man, how are we going to reach all of the populations on the other side of the Pacific Ocean? And they had an opportunity to be impulsive, to say, we'll do it in the way every other company has actually sold software to other businesses, which is start a sales organization. Hire somebody in North America that'll go from company to company to company and start to build a pipeline and figure out how much we have to charge for our products to actually support that sales organization. They didn't do it that way. They thought, well, in part because they're engineers, in part because they just wanted to be unconventional, they wanted to figure out whether they could use the internet to reach all the other businesses that were in our market. They had to do things the old-fashioned way or kind of, a lot of hand-to-hand combat early on because they wanted to perfect the model. So the first 10 Atlassian customers were largely sold by them. People had a whole bunch of questions, and they said, does it do this? Does it do that? How much does it cost? Do you give a discount? How does it work with this, X, Y, and Z? And what they really worked on early on was understanding how they could answer all of those questions in advance for the customers that they would talk to in the future. And this is a famous part of our history, but at the time, they were accepting orders over fax. And again, for the first couple of customers, the fax number wasn't on the website. After people asked them, where do I fax this to? They said, well, let's put the fax number up on the website. This is back in 2003. At one point, the fax machine buzzed, and an order came over, and it was from American Airlines. And American Airlines bought a copy of Jira without ever talking to anybody. And at the time, they didn't believe it. There were like 7 or 10 people, in the room, and it came across the wire, and they said, who's been working with American Airlines? And nobody claimed it. And so they, being engineers, trolled through web server logs and tried to figure out, what was the pattern? How would this company actually grab the product, tried it, sent in an order, and they had done all that stuff. And for us, it was a really important lesson because it meant that we'd done that once, and how could we repeat it? And we're a 10-year-old business that has been working on refining that model. So as Carl mentioned, close to 200 million last year without a sales organization. And so this is sort of, I'm going to talk a little bit about how we do it. Importantly, I think the industry overall is changing. And so the way that you build software and you sell it to other businesses, that model is changing pretty rapidly. We're not alone. There's a lot of companies, and I think SaaS overall has been a massive accelerator for figuring out how to reach other businesses with software and sell it to them in an unconventional way. There's an HBR article that talks about a survey of IT decision makers and IT buyers in other businesses. And that article is pretty interesting, but one thing that it talks about is that according to that survey, nearly 60% of a purchase decision is already made by the time a business engages you as a vendor. I believe still that the other 40% is sometimes prohibited. And I like to use Workday as an example. You can't try Workday today. You can't just sign up for a demo and give it a whirl. I don't know that you can actually see how much Workday costs. So Workday prohibits the other 40% or some part of it from happening. The shift is really moving from this very high-touch, kind of enterprise, traditional sales-driven model to one that's focused on empowering the customer to make the decision themselves and empowering customer self-service. In a traditional model, it kind of flows like this. A customer comes to your website, tries to figure out what you do and how your product works, gathers as much information as you provide them, right? A sales team typically engages and then hopefully closes the deal and you profit from it. And the value control, there's a value control lever that a sales organization wants to be able to maneuver. And what happens is there's an incentive to introduce more friction, right? The reason that a large company like Workday doesn't publish pricing is because the sales organization wants to understand how valuable is the problem that we are solving before we tell you how much our product costs. So oftentimes that translates into reducing the amount of information that you allow a customer to gather, because you want to control that value point as far into the sales cycle as possible. In a customer self-service model, it works differently. You still, the customer's going to come to the website. You're going to arm them with a lot of information. You're investing in a product that's going to do most of the selling and in a model that's going to support that self-service process. And so you've removed that incentive to create friction up the funnel. Very kind of simple. You're building a bunch of awareness, and it's sort of what's typically referred to as a try-buy model. So here's a bit of a punchline to how our business works. I'll describe this chart at the very end, but just study it for a second and think about what you think it is and what you think it's describing, and I'll explain at the end of the talk. A couple numbers just to give you some perspective on our business. This is the amount of sales. Again, all of our sales flow through the web. Customers basically, the way our model works is you guys can all do this. You go to the web. We try to put everything that we possibly can in front of your face. We try to do it smartly. We do a lot of testing to understand what information is the best information for a certain type of prospect. And we're constantly trying to refine how we present the best stuff to encourage more people to try our products. When you try them, we give you a 30-day trial. We have a version of a freemium model that we actually charge kind of a nominal fee, $10, and we donate that to charity. But you can see basically everything, and you can try the product for free, and you never really need to engage another human being to get that far. We tell you when you start a trial, if you want to talk to anybody, there's people here that will help you, and we call those people customer and product advocates. So if you've got a question about how a product works or how to buy a product from us, if you can't figure it out on your own, we absolutely will talk to you. Those teams aren't commissioned, they're not incentivized to close you, they're purely incentivized to help you and then push you back out into a model that is going to support a self-service process. So all of our sales go through an online store where business customers will buy with a credit card or they'll send us a PO. On Monday, we did 1.128, and that's when I had to finish this presentation. So that's kind of one day of sales. A couple other numbers. In a given month, I think this is January, we'll do about 1.7 uniques. From those visits, we'll generate about 15,000 unique domains that try our products, and about close to 1.5, 1.3 unique domains, unique companies that will actually buy them. So for the marketers, you can kind of work out the rough conversion rate in the funnel. And I believe there's three things that we're doing that make this work. The other thing that I'll caveat is there's a lot about our market that makes this work, and a lot about how we introduce our products to businesses that makes this work. Workday would have a more difficult time with our model because they're trying to platform an entire company around human performance management. We often sell to teams. And even though large companies will platform their entire collaborative development process on Atlassian, it usually starts with a team and then expands. The other thing about our market that supports this is we do sell to a technical buyer that I think is much more comfortable going through the whole process without a lot of hand-holding. But three things that we're doing kind of really make this work for us. The first is at every opportunity, we're focused on reducing friction in the funnel and friction in the model. And we look like we have teams that kind of study how do we take friction out and how do we automate that friction removal for scale. So a simple example is published pricing. There's still a lot of companies today that don't do it. And I think that the reason they don't do it is because they have a sales organization that's scared to tell the customer how much the product costs, especially if it's expensive. So if you go to Atlassian, you can look at the product. Every price is published. There's actually no contact us and we'll tell you how much it is. In part because by doing that, you've created friction. You've forced a customer to call in and say, God, I'm just trying to figure out how much this costs, and I need to call you to tell me. For a lot of sales organizations, that's what you want, right? Because I've got a lead now. I can further qualify and kind of start a sales cycle. We also focus a lot of energy on describing everything that our products do. And the challenge there is that these are products that do a lot, so you want to do it simply and effectively. So people say, okay, I've got it. I understand how this is going to solve my problem. Now I need the proof point of actually trying it and making sure that it does. So that's kind of one example of friction removal. Making sure that it's very easy for prospects and customers to reach you and to get assistance. So we make it very easy for you to talk to a human being. We don't call you up and say, we just wanted to check if you wanted to talk to a human being. We just let you know it's an opt-in, not an opt-out. Most sales models are opt-out. I'm going to call you and I'm going to try to talk about what you're doing and how I can help you do that better. We basically say we trust that you're in control of your process, and if you need us to help you, you just let us know and we'll do it. So we make it very easy for people to basically engage our support organization, our customer service organization, and then also our CEOs. There's a very simple way for you to send a message to the two founders of Atlassian. They'll respond back to it. We also, as part of kind of understanding how to improve the process, again, we want to make sure that there's a lot of information that people are going to want to ask us. In our model, when they ask us, when we get a request, do you do X, Y, and Z, we study how often we get that request, and we try to figure out whether or not there's a way that we can answer that question for all the future customers that may ask it. This is just an example of that. And then in product, because the product is our salesperson, we really focus a lot of engineering on the onboarding experience and improving that for new users. So because it's a trial, we're not going to hold your hand. We're not going to have people that can walk you through it. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. So you have to invest more in engineering to make sure that they go right in product. That's one example. The other big thing that we focus on is experimentation. And a lot of people call this growth hacking or marketing or product growth. We just call it growth. The people that are closest to salespeople in our organization are in a growth team. And that growth team includes data scientists, engineers, and then growth human beings, right? The people that are going to help you during an evaluation if you need it. They're not purely focused on conversion, they're focused on assistance. But they work alongside engineers that are going to improve that process for scale. Because we're not trying to convert 300 customers, we're trying to convert 3,000 or 30,000. So, we'll do a lot of experimentation, A/B and multivariate testing across the web. It's a constant thing for us. And experimentation like this is always a game of inches, right? The fallacy in growth hacking or even A/B testing is that you feel like you can do something and there's going to be this massive gain. I'm going to do this experiment. I'm going to throw 2 pages that are slightly different, and I'm going to prove to the business that I just doubled the amount of people that convert. That rarely happens. In most of our product growth experimentation, I think our failure rate is about 90%. So if we do 10 product experiments, 9 of them are going to fail. They'll be a complete waste of time. And the one that we do will not double. It'll probably not even have a double-digit increase in whatever goal we're trying to attain. It'll have a single digit. But the point is that you stack hundreds of those up over a long period of time, and that makes a significant difference. So we'll do experimentation in email, right? We'll send short versions and long versions of every email trying to find out what the right pattern is for a certain thing that we're doing. In product, when you log into Jira and you say, man, I want to create a project for the first time, that growth team, which is not part of engineering, it's part of sales and marketing, they have, in our business, they have the ability to change the product experience. And we've created an agreement with engineering that says if we prove that there's a beneficial effect, and we have to prove it twice, if we prove it twice, we have a service level agreement with engineering that says it gets implemented by a certain period of time because we've just demonstrated that we've moved the ball inches down the field. And then, of course, we'll do simple things like in marketing tactics. Marketing organization will use the standard, I want to invite people to a webinar. I'm going to do that through the things that I know, through blogs and email and maybe some social media promotion. We give marketing the ability to actually promote those types of things in product. And we do it very, very delicately because you can anger your end users. But this is a simple example of a message that says to end users of Jira, hey, if you want to join a webinar where you can learn about how you can use Jira more, here's a good example. We also kind of growth hack with people. We'll say, let's take 1,000 evaluators and let's have 500 actually go to somebody who will proactively call people and say, can I help you, can I help you, can I help you? And let's take 500 and have an engineer and a marketer see what they do. And then we compare the two conversion rates. But in our business, if the human conversion rate is higher, all we've done is set a new bar that we want the non-human conversion rate to beat. And so we'll do things like we'll pair kind of an automated approach versus a human approach, and then we'll tweak the automated approach. We'll say, well, there's a lot more experimentation we can do with a single robot that's sending emails to customers. We can tweak when they actually send those emails. We can engage kind of a dialogue where we program the robotic response. We can build a LinkedIn profile for the robot so it has some human characteristics. The final thing in closing is just to have faith that when you build a model, you're building a model for the long term. And in our business, we're constantly trying to experiment to see where we can add value. There may be a future where we have products that require salespeople or require kind of a tweak to our model. And we're always trying to find out where those points are and where we can improve the automated approach that we've already demonstrated and some new approaches that we haven't. So this is the last slide. This chart actually describes our bookings linearity through a quarter. So if you've been involved in enterprise software, most of these charts look like a very, very gradual line until the last 2 weeks of the quarter, and then it goes up to 100%, where 80% of a quarter is booked in the last 2 weeks. And that's what happens when human beings are involved, right? Because you've created a bunch of friction and a bunch of reasons to wait until the very end to close a deal. In our business, without that, it's basically just a straight line. So with that, thanks very much, and good luck.
Good. Thank you.